Welcome back, my friends, for another fun reloading video. Today we've got a quick range report here. We were out at the rifle range this weekend, shooting some 300 Blackout and some 350 Legend. We did also spend some time over on the pistol range. However, we were actually just shooting rather than doing any sort of load workup or anything like that. We did manage to score some brass, but we'll get to that later. Back to the rifle stuff. We'll get started with some 300 Blackout. I recently acquired a new red dot here, so I threw that on my Blackout pistol, and I never really got a great zero on it, so here I took it out, and we're only at 25 yards today, but here's 5 shots we ended up with after playing with it. These were from an earlier range session. These aren't actually 300 Blackout, so just these 5 here. So I think we got pretty close, and then we moved on to some load development, or rather just some testing with our modified 309-230. Here's an example of our modified 309-230. You can see it's no longer a boat tail, but buddy Chuck actually sent these to us, and he's modified his mold. So I was testing to see if these were able to stabilize, because the ones that I've cast with the boat tail have always just keyholed and had horrible accuracy. So let's see what they were able to do for me. So a while back, we had loaded 3 5-shot groups here with 3 different powders. We picked 8.5 grains of 2400, and this is what we came up with at 25 yards. You can see we zeroed with a higher velocity round over on that other target, so all these are going to show a little bit low for us, but they do look like they are fairly well stabilized compared to what I've previously seen, except maybe over here we do have a little bit of a tail swipe on that hole there. But also, I noted with my 2400 and 8.5 grains, it was never able to cycle the next round, and it certainly didn't lock back our bolt. So this one was the lowest velocity of the day, and you know, that could further cause the keyholing and stuff if we're not actually spinning fast enough out of the barrel. Next up, we tried 9 grains of H110. I had previously tested this with my own 309-230s. Pretty decent group. It's about an inch apart there, and these actually look pretty well stabilized, I would say, as well. We had full function of the gun, and it locked back on our last round. So 9 grains of H110 with my 10.5 inch barrel seemed to work pretty well, and this modified bullet seems to actually start to stabilize. And lastly, we tried 10 grains of Shooter's World SBR. It did function, it did lock back, and it looked like we were able to stabilize. Maybe a little swipe mark down here, but overall, they make pretty clean holes, not quite as tight of a group as the H110 load, and this one had lots of unburnt powder left in the barrel. A quick look at our brass. This first row is our 2400 charge of 8.5 grains. You can see slightly flattened primers, but that's just what 2400 seems to do no matter what charge it is, unless you're way over pressure. Then they start to flatten out completely. Here's our H110 load in the center. No ejector swipes or anything extra like that. Everything's nice and clean. Rounded primers. And then here's our SBR charges over here. Again, rounded primers, not excessive pressure, but they were pretty dirty. Again, they left lots of unburnt powder in the barrel, and certainly dirtier than our other powders. So overall, the stabilization might have been fixed. I need to step out to probably 50 yards or so. I've got a handful of these left, so I'll probably try 5 more with that H110 load and step it out to 50 or 100 yards and see what they're doing way out there. And I guess we'll move on with that. Moving right along here, here is our Shooter's World heavy pistol in the 350 Legend using our 170 grain Hornady soft points. We tried 21.4, 21.7, and 22 grains. I wasn't sure where we were going to hit on paper, so I started with our middle charge because, it was in the middle of the paper and I could see where we're at. Again, only at 25 yards and iron sights on this gun here. So this was our first group at 21.7 grains, maybe half or 3/4 of an inch there. Of course, we're a little bit low and to the right. I wasn't going for bullseye accuracy. We were just kind of seeing comparing our groups and how they performed. So this is 21.7 grains. Then I went back to our first charge, 21.4 grains. Clearly started to open up here, or rather it opened up and then the next one tightened up depending on, how we look at it. But still low and right, so that's consistent. But again, these three are more opened up here. We increase our velocity a little bit, 21.7. Again, it tightens up just a little bit. And then here, I knew it was going to go off the page, so I actually was aiming right here where the gray and the black meet up and using this as my center. So aiming here, here we have 3 rounds more horizontally strung, but just about the same exact group as our last charge. So again, maybe 3/4 of an inch. And here is a look at our 350 Legend brass. These first 3 is our 21.4 grain charge. No pressure signs across the board. That's why we did the initial test to see where we actually start to see pressure. We never did, so we tried our maximum charge and a couple of charges below that. Now it's all about accuracy, so no pressure signs. All the brass gets beat up equally in this gun. Maybe I'll have to do some polishing and work on some of these surfaces and see if that fixes any of these little swipes or any of that stuff, but I think they shot pretty well. I'll have to back it out to 50 or 100 next time if those lanes are open. So overall, I think I'm going to go with our 22 grain charge here, because again, no pressure signs compared to our lower charges, and if we can get a little bit more velocity out of those soft point rounds, then they'll be doing their job just that much better. Anyways, I'll probably load up 10 or 20 of those just to play with next time. Again, overall, pretty impressed here. I just need to work on my own marksmanship and get it out to farther ranges next time. And finally, our spoils we were able to take home with us. Here's our rifle brass. I think it was about 8.5 pounds minus about 50 pieces of 300 Blackout that I was shooting. So very successful on the rifle range. And over on the pistol range, I think that we got about 11.5 pounds. There is a couple steel pieces and some 22, but if I'm just picking it up and it's right next door, I'm gonna grab it anyways, because otherwise the ROs have to stay longer and pick up all the crap that everyone else leaves. So I just try and help out because I'm there all the time, and Anyways, there we are. We have some brass. I got a ton of crap to sort here. As far as lead, I got maybe 3 or 4 pounds. It wasn't too successful on the lead front, but I definitely brought home more than I took with me. It was super busy. There were tons of people, so I wasn't going to go and stand, behind the targets and play around in the dirt like an idiot while people are trying to shoot. So I just stay out of their way. Everyone take turns shooting. We all have a good time, and they give me their brass most of the time too, so it's all good. Anyways, I gotta get to sorting here. We've got some 223, of course, but a bunch of 308, some 30-06 as well, and maybe a couple other random pieces. Over here from the pistol range, lots of 9mm, lots of 40 and 45 like always, but also a gentleman was shooting 38 specials, so I think I've got about 100 or 150 pieces that he gladly gave up as well, so heck yeah for that. So that's going to do it for this week's range report, folks. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you hanging out. Can't wait to further develop our loads with the 350 Legend and work on that 300 Blackout subsonic as well. So stay tuned for that, guys. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one!